Hello, welcome to this online presentation, which is called Q&A with Amanda. There's two questions that I've been asked, and both questions were asked via email. So let me go straight in. And the first question is, if we are the infinite being, why do we need to do integration practices? Shouldn't we just rest as awareness, since that is the ultimate goal? And that is from Louise, who is in the United Kingdom. So, to answer your question, Louise, and for people that are listening that might be asking that same question, you are absolutely right. Yes, we are the infinite, timeless being. And when we recognize that, through that very recognition, we realize that it was a case of mistaken identity, that we are not the mind, we're not the emotions, we're not the body, and we're certainly not the circumstances of what happens in the world. Now, there is a very, very small percent of beings that recognize their true nature and remain as that. It's called proficiency. However, because we've took ourselves to be a human body with responsibilities and certain characteristics and certain traits, they don't always just fall away. And there's a reason for that. And it's because although they're called illusionary, they are registered in consciousness. So if there is a familiar pattern of unworthiness, say, for example, when we have that self-recognition, although that we realize that we are that rather than the story and, the 3D world, that feeling of unworthiness may not just stop. It may continue to play out. And so the integration is part of the story. The integration simply means that we are the infinite timeless being and we've come here to have a human experience. So the stillness, the background, the awareness, the consciousness integrates the whole beingness into the human character. Well, because the human being is quite constructed and it's quite it's a dense realm. The physical realm is the densest body. It affects the nervous system. So who we are is presence, power, and intelligence. And that presence, power, and intelligence is the whole universe. So for the human body to, for the consciousness to integrate into the human experience, we have to give the nervous system time to adjust to be able to hold the power, the presence, and the intelligence of who we are. So that is the purpose for integration. There are different methods to integrate, but the purpose is that the unbound, unlimited, ageless, timeless being now has the human experience without lack and limitation, which really means having the human experience without unlove circumstances and programs. So I've just done some bullet points to continue with that answer. Yes, we are self-aware beings. Our sole purpose for showing up here is to undo concepts of lack and limitation. We assumed ourselves to be a human body with a mind and a world, and it was all a case of mistaken identity. So I hope that's answered your question, Louise. It really is, when we know ourselves, just sometimes when we recognize that we are the timeless being, the one recognition doesn't always do it. Although we can never forget it, it's the habit to identify with a mistaken identity, which trips a lot of us up. And so integration can be identifying and removing the negative programs, or it can be integrating more love. Because, well, we don't integrate more love, we are love, but we've covered it up with layers and layers and layers of unlove. So I hope that helps. Wisdom says when we recognize our true nature, we realize that everything is okay. We can recognize and rest as this. All the mind-made stories may still play out, so it is wise to review and rewrite the script. And this is the path of unconditional love. So really, we came here, we showed up at this particular time to have the human experience, but we are not the human, we are the infinite being. Moving on to the second question. I have heard you say that there is no difference between the mind and consciousness. Could you explain this a little further, please? And this is from Maggie, who is in Ireland. Absolutely. So the consciousness is also called the awareness, knowing, God, being, source, intelligence, Christ conscious. But really, there is no words that can explain the truth of who we are. We are like the space in a room. You cannot say nothing about the space in the room. However, if you shut all the doors and shut all the windows in that room, it looks like the space is contained just in that room. No, it isn't. It appears to be boxed in, but it's not. So that's who we are. Now, this thing that we call the mind is not a separate thing inside of that space. Words are not going to really do this question much justice. So I'd like you to have a direct experience of what I am attempting to make clear. If you just close the eyes now and just recognize the backs of the eyelids, I'm going to ask you to look and see with your lens of perception, not with your physical eyes. Can you perceive any boundaries around this sense of existence? Is there an inside, an outside? Is there a depth or a width? Does it have any boundaries around it? And the answer is no. To experience a boundary, we would have to imagine one. So we're not doing any work with the mind, we're just being who and what we are. And we are recognizing that there are no boundaries. Keeping your eyes closed, I want you to now take the attention from the backs of the eyes and drop it a little bit lower into the body, into the chest area. There's a sort of a subtle shift. And what can be experienced from here is that there is still no boundaries, there's still nothing happening, but it's a more softer field. And finally, if you're able to drop the gaze right to your core or your solar plexus and experience this field of existence from there, it feels a lot more lighter. But in all three experiences, there are no boundaries. Now, if we bring the attention to the backs of the eyes, I want you to pop a thought into this field. Allow a thought to come up into this field. So thoughts appear in the mind. So if you allowed a thought to come up in this field, was there a separate thing called a mind that appeared? Was there something that appeared that had a boundary around it that we call the mind? This is for you to directly experience that this field of existence is what is known as the mind of Christ. I know with some spiritual teachings there can be a misunderstanding with consciousness, beingness, and the mind, but the mind is empty, blank, and open, and very, very quiet. And when we notice a thought appearing in that mind, we say that the mind is made of thoughts. But that's not true. If you directly experience now, focus on the backs of the eyelids, close the eyes, notice that there are no boundaries. Now look for the mind. Let's see where the mind exists. It doesn't. But a thought can appear in this field of existence because the field of existence allows everything. It's a unified field. Thoughts can arise in this field of existence, and that thought is just arising in consciousness. So, really, I wouldn't focus too much on the words that we give to the invisible side of us, mind, consciousness, the self. Whatever word resonates with you, but there is no words for who we are. The closest word is I, and that's the infinite I. It's impersonal, it has no shape, it's just I exist. So, if I can summarize, you are the consciousness, and everything else is an experience happening within the consciousness. There is no subject object, there is no separation, none whatsoever. However, through integration, we can experience a drawing back from the game so that we can have a wider view. We can see, oh, there's a thought, there's a feeling, oh, there's a tendency. And then we realize that that thought, that feeling, that tendency is arising right in this field of consciousness. It's a unified field. There are not lots of fields of consciousnesses, there's just the one. However, I had an image once and it was very helpful, so I hope I can help you with it. That it's like if you open your eyes and you look at your world around you now, you look at your home environment and you can look out the window and maybe see nature and other homes. If you look at the space, that is consciousness and everything appears in it. So you can actually create your own energy because this game is an energy frequency based game. It's always going to be energy. You can't do away with energy. It's not created and it's not destroyed. So what it is likened to is the body mind that you are familiar with is an energy machine. And when we realize who we are, when we recognize that we are the consciousness or the being or the thing that has absolutely no words, no concepts, we realize that the body is a mass of energy. And so that's how we experience fear and happiness and sadness and grief and loss. It's through the energetic body. But as we stop identifying with the body, the mistaken identity, we realize that that energy is arising in us. And it can be uncomfortable, it can be quite dense, sorrow can be quite hard and grief. And if we disidentify with it, which is, I like the way that David Bingham says, we decline the invitation, those frequencies stop appearing. And what we are doing is we are creating a new energy frequency, and it's usually that of love, peace, joy, bliss, happiness, and then that becomes the predominant frequency. So that is kind of like consciously creating, because conscious creativity doesn't mean that you engage the mind, pick up the mind and start to create. The only thing that you need to do is rest as who you are and recognize that this knowing of whole, complete, it's love. That's what it is. It's love. It's not an experience that comes and goes. And love can be attributeless. And then the body starts to act out loving kindness. So it's a very interesting, we are very interesting beings, but that's my take on those two questions. So I hope I've answered them, and I hope that I've brought some clarity or something to cause us to realize that we are already the infinite being. We know it through recognition and direct experience and not through words. Words can resonate and point us there, but ultimately it's for us to directly experience it. So thank you for watching. If what I shared in this Q&A resonated with you and you would like to explore more of the work I do, please go to the social media channel of this video presentation and click on the online program button, which will direct you to my linked tree page where you can view videos on products and services. So once again, all that's left to say is thank you so much. If please continue to send emails in. If you do have an email question, if you send it to amandatweed@gmail.com, and at my earliest convenience, I will respond. Sometimes I don't do videos. Sometimes I respond with, with sending an email back, or sometimes I respond with a short video that will possibly explain the question that you've asked. But yeah, just go to my bio and you will see online products or online services. If you click on there, it will take you over to my link tree where you can see lots of different things that I offer, and also some free stuff is there too. All right, then, thank you so much, and hopefully, I'll be doing another one soon. Take care for now. Bye bye.